Hi, and welcome back to the Possum Stamps YouTube channel. This is Marla, and today I'm going to be creating a card as part of the Halloween card making series. This is the card that I'm creating. It's using the Ruff Life stamp set, which is part of the August release and is available now over in the Possum Stamp store. I will have all of the Possum Stamps products linked in the description box below. I'm going to jump right into a little bit of Copic coloring. I did stamp my image out using some black Copic friendly ink onto some Copic Express It paper. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes, so bear with me because I really want to talk a little bit about this stamp set and why I chose it for the Halloween series, because you might be looking at it and wondering, how does this stamp relate to Halloween? Let's get to the coloring real quick. I wanted to talk about the colors, so I want to show you the colors that you'll see on the screen, the B markers that I used. Those markers I chose because they're going to coordinate well with the Distress Oxide ink Mermaid Lagoon. So if you are doing some coloring and you're looking for some Copic colors that are going to go with some of your Distress Oxides, this is a very beautiful match with the Mermaid Lagoon. My next color combination, these YR markers, they are going to coordinate with the Carved Pumpkin. And finally, I'll bring in some RV markers, which will go very well with the Picked Raspberry. I'm going to repeat these colors throughout these pillows, so I'm only going to show you a couple of the pillows, not all of them. But I did want to show you that I did use that color combination, and then I did end up repeating it throughout the image of this dog on the pillows. Now, why did I choose this image for a Halloween card series? One, I really like a challenge, and two, you know, when I first saw this stamp set, I was talking to the owner of Possum, and I said, you know, when I see this stamp set, I think that it would be really cute colored up in Christmas colors, don't you think? I mean, I thought that if we did reds and greens and golds, that this would just be absolutely adorable. And I said I would love to see a sentiment that said not a creature was stirring, because the dog is napping. It goes perfectly with this. Why did I think of that? It's because I like to extend the use of my stamps. And so when I heard that we were doing a Halloween series, I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this stamp work for Halloween. Instead of going with traditional colors like purples and blacks and oranges, I decided to go with colors that are more on the brighter side. So I did go with, as I said, Mermaid Lagoon, Carved Pumpkin, and Picked Raspberry. And I'm using this circle stencil, which kind of is like painted circles, and I'm creating my background. This background is absolutely beautiful. If I were looking for like a birthday card or something like that, and I wanted something really bright and cheery, this is fabulous. But I wanted to tone it down just a little bit for Halloween. So I decided to grunge it up a little bit. I'm going to use some antique linen, and I will add the antique linen all over the front of the panel. But first, I'm going to distress the edges with my scissors. So I wanted to rough up the edges, and I just use the edge of my scissors on this panel. By the time I'm finished with it, it was a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch Nina Solar White 80-pound card panel. I'm going to end up with, it's going to be like about 1/8 of an inch smaller than that 4 1/4 by 5.5, which is going to allow me to use a bright pink card base and get 1/8 of an inch border. So back to why or how I'm creating this as a Halloween card. I also have, if you saw my last video, which I will link at the end of this video, it was using the Spooky Cupcakes, which is absolutely adorable, but it had a sentiment in there, one that said sweet, because there's candy pieces, and I'm going to bring in those candy pieces on this card, but it also said Happy Halloween. And I thought, wouldn't it be cute if this little dog was dreaming about candy and about Halloween? And so I thought, I'm going to make a Halloween card for my niece. My niece lives in California, so I don't get to see her all the time. But I thought this would be a cute little card for me to send to her. And I thought that the sleeping dog dreaming was perfect for a dreamy candy Halloween card. What do you think? Do you like to extend the use of your stamps? Is that something that you try to do? I know that Jennifer McGuire talks about when you look at a stamp set before you buy it, try to figure out 5 ways you're going to use it. Okay, I've already got 3 here. We have just a generic dog dreaming. If somebody's having a rough time, this would be a great one using the sentiment, "It's a rough life." I talked about how it would work well for Christmas if you used a sentiment that said, "Not a creature was stirring." You could use your word processing program and get that sentiment typed out, printed, and cut, and be able to use this for Christmas. And now you see that you're also going to be able to use it for Halloween. So as you can see, I've toned everything down. I used the same colors with that Tim Holtz striped stencil, and that is adding a little bit more interest to this card panel. It's going to give my dog a place to land. And I'm going to glue this, as I said, right to the center of my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch top folding note card. I will add, as you know, I love dimensions, so I'm adding dimension to the back of this little dog, and you're going to see that I'm going to start taking off the paper, and I cut that part out because, this red release paper is horrible to get off. So I spared you that, but I did get the release paper off finally, and I glued my little doggy down. Now I need to add a speech bubble. So I had a speech bubble that was in my stash. The speech bubble that's included in the Ruff Life stamp set is actually has a bone in it, and so I wanted one that was plain. I added the antique linen, and then that was just to tone down the Mermaid Lagoon, because again, look at how my image really pops off the page by me grunging up that background. And I really love that because it really makes that image the star of the show. I kept the inside of the cloud as with the antique linen, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says sweet. I'm going to no line color the candy corn, and I don't know why I did no line coloring. I don't know. I did this in 2 days. Sometimes I do that. I'll start with one part of the card, which was coloring up the dog, and then I'll finish putting it together the next day. So I took the antique linen, and I actually ended up stamping out the bunny shoes and the bear. I liked the way that the candy corn looked, and so I kept that. But you're going to see that I did glue down the bear and the bunny at the end and the side of the bed, and it's going to be no line colored. I end up just stamping it again and coloring it off camera because I didn't want to bore you with more coloring. But and I did want to show you here that I did use some of the same colors for the candy corn so that we can keep this card very cohesive. But I glued the candy corn around the word sweet. I stamped my sentiment onto a 4 by 5 1/4 inch card using those same Distress Oxide ink. So it says, "Sweet dreams for a happy Halloween." And then I'm going to put the bunny slippers that I stamped over the no line colored ones, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the teddy bear, and that's going to be my card for today. So I hope that this inspired you to look at your stamps differently, to try to find more ways to use them. Maybe you don't have Halloween stamps, and this is one that you think that you could use for the holidays or for Halloween. Whatever this inspires you to do, I hope you enjoy. Until next time, have a fabulous day.